Okay, guys. Welcome to our third session. This is about OGX marketing. Previously, we did creating a marketing plan and ICX marketing. So today we'll talk about the OGX. So here I'd like to talk about the main, give a basic idea to OGX marketing and how to find how to find our customers and a little bit about physical marketing as well. So. Yes, the session is going in English, and you guys can ask any questions and please save them till the end. I'll give a chance. Okay, guys, these are the discussions that we are going to have on this topic. So, as I told earlier, a basic introduction to OGX and given about idea about market research and some about physical marketing and yes, I had some like a basic introduction to DXP marketing as well. So let's start. Okay, so what do you mean by an like OGX? So OGX marketing, what we mean by that is the marketing we do for the all the outgoing functions. So like currently in our CC, we are not doing OGE. So it's going to be only two functions, OGV and OGT. So OGX marketing is like basically for these two functions. So like in here basically we are targeting the customers. If you remember, when I was doing the session for marketing for ICX, I explained that when we are talking about ICX marketing, we are targeting only the partners. That's why I called it as business to business. So in when we are talking about OGX marketing, in simply outgoing functions, but we mainly focus on the outgoing AP. So that's the customer. So that's why we are saying uh, as the B2C marketing as well. To this OGX marketing, we can like another name is the B2C marketing, because in for the OGX functions, all these two functions, OGV and OGT, we are targeting the customer. We are doing all our marketing for the customer so that we can attract him for one of our products, and we can send him on a volunteership for the talent. So now, first of all, first we need to identify a set of customers. Like in a market, if you like talk about the general market, there are a lot of customers, and all of them are not applicable for our product. So like simply we have the age gap between 18 to 30. So people beyond 30 or below 18 is not suitable for our product. So likewise, it's very important for us to identify a good market, because market contains customers, and like we need to simply like segregate this large market into one of the small parts, and so that we can focus on those parts very well. So for this concept, like for identifying this set of customers that will be like very interested in our product, and as well as who's suitable for our product, uh, for find them, we are going to need to do a market research, and market research, after that we need to do proper marketing for those people. So first we need to like through a market research, what we are trying to do is trying to identify a set of people who are interested, uh, because the market is a very large space. There are a lot of people who want to buy a lot of things, but we need to find the very set of people who are interested in buying our products, our OGV and OGT. So that's why we are doing a market research. So after we found that set of people, we need to do them a proper marketing to attract them and keep them throughout our funnel. So marketing is as well as we are doing digital and physical as well, because here I want to talk about focus more on physical, because digitally it's like we have talking like everywhere we are talking about the digital marketing. I want what I want here is to uh, talk more about physical marketing, because we are doing those kind of things, and it's like not very much discussed. So that's what we are going to need in order to find a set of customers and send them. So now I will start about market research. So this market research, it's like I read out the slide. Market research is any organized effort to gather information about a target market or a customer. So target market is that's very set of people that we are focusing out of the whole large market. Like there can be thousands or millions of people, but we are focusing on set of customers, and they are the target market. So through market research, what we are going to do is we are going to find information about these target markets people only, not others. We are going to like further study these people. So that's what the basic idea about market research. So yes, when we talk about market research, there is another aspect as well. It's called the market insight. So it's very like it's very important for you to know the difference between these two, because these two are like very two different concepts. And I can say like another version of market research is the customer insights, and the situation where you need to use a market research is not be suitable for you to do a market insight. So depending on the situation, you need to select whether I'm going to do a market research or a market insight. So I'm reading out the slide. In market research, it's a factual and statistical organized effort to gather information about customer or market that I told earlier. Customer insight is a research provide information that why customers behave how they do. So like in market research, but like it's about what about the customer, and customer insight is about why. Like why the main thing is why customer behaves this way, because in market research we are not focusing on that why, we are only focusing about the facts. Okay, so I will explain further with the examples as well, so you can get a clear idea. So just to get an idea, like these are two different things. Market research and customers insight is two different things, and you need to figure out with according to your goal what the most suitable one. So let's talk about these differences a little bit more. So as I explained earlier, market research is the what of customers and market, and customer insight is the why of customers and brands. So then the second fact is market research deliver facts, knowledge and statistics. It's only deliver that. By doing a market research, we can know these are the facts, these are the numbers, these are the knowledge about a set of people. That's the details that we can get. But if you are doing a customer insight, we are getting this additional layer of recommendation that can help our product. So in customer insight, we are focusing on why the customer behave this way. So by getting an answer to that, if we got an answer, this customer, this is the reason he behaves this way, we can use that to improve our product, because we know why he behaves this way. We know his thinking patterns. We know like what's the motive behind his action. So since we know that, we get this chance to improve our product, or basically improve the product, because we know why he behaved that way. So we can compare with those needs. We can see whether our product is like aligning with their goals or not. And the third one is research department deliver to the marketing function. Whatever we get after research, it just get delivered to the marketing function. Delivering the inputs, that's the only that's their boundary. They're not going beyond that. They are just doing the market research and providing information. So a customer insight, where like they work in the marketing function, because they are always giving the behavioral aspect as well. So they always connect with this marketing function throughout the process to improve the product. So moving on, yes, you are still not clear, I know that, because those are a lot of theoretical stuff, and you are half sleepy at 5:25, so you are not clear. So I have prepared some examples as well. Yes, so like at least once in a lifetime you must have feel one of these, but it's one of at that time you are the other party, not the party who's doing the research. So So now I want you to think as a way of the person who's doing the market research. So this is a market research. The slide says research tells us what is happening. So what we are trying to get here is like, if I read out the questions, it's asked how many times do you visit a theme park. So we are just getting a number. Let's say it's between 0 and 2. So we like, it's 0 and 2 means he's coming a very very less times. If he gives the answer as 5 plus, he's coming a lot of time. So that's the only thing we get. So we are not asking why you are coming 5 plus times or why you are coming less than 2. It's like details are not getting after that. We are only asking whether like how many times you are coming, is it between these three ranges, that's all. And the second one, we're asking how many times you visit the roller coaster. So it's also as before, we are only getting that part, 0 to 2 or 2 to 4, 5 plus. So like now seeing this, if you read this, you get the idea. Market research, it's the what of customers and markets. We are just getting the idea. So then second one, deliver the facts and statistics only. We are just getting the numbers. And the third one is it's deliver these inputs to the marketing function. Like their job is done after giving, like they are giving this piece of paper to 100 people, then getting getting the inputs from 100 people and submitting it to the marketing department. That's all they are doing. That's the market research. So this is a market research. So to clarify that, now let's move on to the market insight. So I'm sure at least once in a lifetime you must have filled one of these. So this is one of the customer insights. It's the different. So early, like before coming to this session, you must have think that both of these are kind of market research or service they are doing, but these are two things. So in customer insights, you can see in the picture, they're asking the rate. How do you like our service? So even in the App Store, Google Play Store, even after you download an app, after using it, they are sending these messages, rate our app. And also under that, they are giving a little space to explain why we give that rate. So that so earlier I said here, it is the why of customers and brands. So they're asking why you did this, why 1 star, why 5 star. So so they're giving that little space to explain the reason for their behavior. So by knowing that, we are getting, like, let's say we are getting lots of 1 star, and a lot of people have mentioned, let's say the price is too high. So now we know the price is too high. That's why, because the 1 star has been given. But in market research, it's very hard to come to a conclusion just by looking at the numbers. So this is the difference. And let's go back to this side. So in the second point, in the custom insight, it say delivers an additional layer of recommendation that can help improve the bottom line. So it's always giving the additional this recommendation part. By using these recommendations, we can increase our customer satisfaction more, because we know what's going wrong, and increase customer loyalty as well, because we are giving this product which the customers has nothing to complain of. So they are very loyal to our product and likely to hold on to us as much as they want. So that's the second point. And third one is inside department work in partnership with the marketing function. So they are like working with partners with the marketing function, because they are always with us. This process is continuously happening. They are always providing the feedback. So the marketing department is very much of help, because they're always saying, okay, this is the reason for them, the behavior is changing. Yeah. There's another thing that I want to highlight is because people's behavior is changing. So the reasons can be different as well. Like we have a problem, we gave a solution to that, then after some time, for a period after that, we are getting 5 stars, but again we might getting 1 stars, but that can be a different reason, because the behavior of the customer is changing and we need to be with them consistently. That's why we are doing that's what the difference of this market research and custom insight. So As well as I want to highlight that I don't want to say that customer insight is the greater, like it's the best. It's the best among these two. That's not the point that I want to highlight. It's depending on your objective, whether you are doing a customer insight or you are going to do a market research. That's depending on your objective, because market research is also important, because to introduce a new product, we are going to need a market research. So that's why I highlight, because both of these are important, and it's depending on your goal that you want to select what you're going to do. So yes, that's the basic difference that I want to highlight before going to the next slides. Okay, so now you have decided what you're going to do with the market research or market customer insight. So whatever of both these two things, then what you gotta do is you have to prepare a to-do list. I hope you all know to-do list. It's like we prepare this list, the things that to be covered, or like what we need to do with this market research. So this is kind of like a planning stage. So like we are predetermining what our objective should be. So these are a little bit of like examples. So you need to write down all the things you need to do during the process in order to make your market research a success. Okay. Your research being successful is at a high probability if you like write down all the things before the starting the research. So I will read out only a few. So let's say list with how many responses we expect per LC. So let's say you are doing the research in the local committee level. So before you starting that, you should have a clear idea about how many responses I need, whether it's 100 people, 1,000 people, or 5,000 people, or whatever the number. You need to have a good idea before that doing the research. So you can do a calculation or whatever and come up, because let's say you're doing in the university and it has this much of students, so we need a sample that covers all the faculties or whatever. One of like using one of those bases, you can uh, calculate like you can predetermine how many responses you are going to need. Then the one before the last, using Google Forms or other survey creators, like what are the methods that I'm going to create this survey. I'm going to use Google Forms, or I'm going to be near the gate, or whatever. I'm going to lecture halls and talk to each one differently. I'm going to be in the canteen, or Google Forms, something like online, offline. Basically, we can divide. So it's things like these. There's a lot. I'm not going to talk about all. So all of these things that you have to be predetermined and to put those into your to-do list. So kind of a planning session this is in the market research. So that need to be have first, then creation. Now you're going to do, let's say you're going to do a market research, and your what you should do, and then what you got to do is you need to create this market research. So creating by means these we'll go back, yes, these questions. This is your research. By research we mean these questions. So what questions should I ask from our survey participants? So I will give a simple way to create these questions. So 3 simple steps for them. Write down things where you want to have an answer on. So like what's the area that you want your answer on. Second one is create the question. Third one is the answers, because in market research we're giving answer as well. So if you see earlier that we ask how many times you visit our park, they have some answers. So we need to give answers as well. So these are the 3 steps, like creating a question. So I will give you 2 examples for that. So let's say example 1, you want to ask the gender. So what's gender means is the like where you want to have your answer on. You want to have your answer on the gender. So step 2, we are creating the question. Question is what is your gender. Third step, giving the answers, it has to be male or female. So simple as that. To create your market research, it has to be questions, and this is the way you're going to create your questions. So second step, second sample, sorry. Again, first step, where do you want your answer on? Product interest. Then step 2, looking for product interest. That's the area where we want our answer on. So we are asking the question, have you been to abroad? So step 3, we are giving some answers. I would like to do volunteering work. Yes, I would like to do an internship, because if we say I like to do volunteering is GV, I like to do an internship. GT, no, then no. So this is the like simple way that you can create the questions for your market research, because I have to find out a set of customers, whether they people from here to abroad. So we need to, like, it's very difficult to identify person whether he like a product or not, whether they will go abroad or not. So that's why we are doing a market research, and this is the questions that we are going to put, like some examples. Then we have done the market research, and now what we are going to do is we are going to analyze our output. So let's say you have planned 100 people's responses and you have got them. Now you have to like prepare them in a way that it give a meaningful answer. Like, we can't give these 100 piece of papers to another person and see. What we should do is we like count them all, what are the answers, we can do a summarize. So this is kind of a making summary. So make sure you have the data and make it visual. So 5 steps for this as well. Simply, what is analyze what you want to have an answer before you start the research. That's basically what your idea was. Then second one is the have the right tool to analyze. For example, Excel software, what you're going to use to analyze these results. Visually is the way we graphically show them, like in here what I say, using a standard template. Because if you are doing a presentation or something, it has to be like a brand line, beautiful visual, like something that is very interesting to look on, something like that. We need to focus that as well. Then format, example, booklets, Google Sheets, like the way you want to present that data to a network. So it can be your friends or whoever the person, like what is the method you're going to give this in a booklet or Google Sheets, something. Then place is where you want to present it. On our ISEC hub, or through emails we are sending it to the people, or on a conference we are getting a chance and we are doing a presentation to explain our output. So this is should be the last step of your market research. We have gathered our information, our data, and we have to give an output from that. So this is I hope you got a idea about how to do market research, how to get the questions ready, and what we should do in order to give this output to someone. Like, if you are a member, you are doing the market research and you need to give to LCVP, and you can't like give 100 papers in a shopping bag or whatever to LCVP. You have to prepare that in Excel or whatever the software, then send, and also you have to decide, I'm going to send this email or getting a team meeting or a one-to-one with my LCVP. You get the idea. So these things you can apply to our LC as well for do the when you're doing a market research. So moving on, I'm going to talk a little bit about physical marketing as well. So as I told earlier, physical marketing is like, it's not digital. Like, basically, let's say you are going and telling one of your friends, this is ISAC, are you interested or whatever. So just that's basically physical market. So we'll get on with slides. So this is theory, like a small theory that I found. I'm going to explain it to you. 7 touches to secure your lead. So what this theory says is, like, from a complete stranger to one of our customers, we have to at least get in contact with him at least 7 times. Like, let's say he's a complete stranger, and at the end we have our customer. in that let's say timeline, we have to at least touch him 7 times. Touch means in a way of marketing, we have to touch him 7 times to get the to make him convert him to a customer. So that's what we mean by 7 touches. So there's a I have mentioned a few ways where we can like touch on with the customer. So there's a lot of ways I have mentioned here: information booth, class out, marketing stand, referral marketing, events, PR enrollment, university relation, and posters and flyers. So there's a lot, but with the time constraint, I will explain only 3 of them. I will talk about information stands, class shouts, and posters. Sorry, because these are the like say the most frequently used methods in what we are using. So that's why I taken these 3. So let's move on. Yes, information stand. Like you can see on the when you see the picture, no like notification needed. It's like we are putting up a stall to sell our product. So now, but what I want to highlight is what we should be in prepare before making this stand and after making the stand. Like it's very important to know these things before and after you're doing if you're doing a information stand. So what you should do before, if you're doing information stand, is you need to make sure the members are trained on how to set. Like if you're a team leader, your members, or if LCP, your leaders, like they should know what they are saying. So basically that. Then make sure you're allowed to have the booth, because in the let's say a few hours someone come and stay to wrap up and go home. So if you don't have that authority, or if you have taken the permission, that's going to be waste of your time and energy as well. So third one, be clear on value propositions and brand, because we need, what we want to highlight to the customer is our value propositions, what they are gaining by going this exchange, and the brand. So I said brand, so we have Blue Book for that to prepare, and be sure to have an attractive booth. Like obviously no one come to an ugly stall, and plan something engaging so people want to stop and up. Because uh, let's say you are putting a stall where a lot of stalls are there, and you want you want the people to stop at your one, so you have to do something engaging to drag them to our stall. uh, then have a clear KPI, a goal, and call to action for this activity. So those are the things that before putting information stand you should know. Then after, report on the result of the activity. Like most of the time your KPI would be the sign up, so you should report on that, and contact the leads within 24 hours. Leads means that they are at the initial stage, they just signed up, so we have to make them we have to help them get through the funnel. So like we have to contact and get them further details, and we need to get contacting them, so that need to be happen within 24 hours. So that's what you should do after a stall. Then yes, so that's all about what I'm going to talk about information stand. So if you're doing an information stand, keep these things in mind, because uh, if you know what you're doing and the right way of you're doing it, the outcome will be very much sure. So then I will talk about class shouts. Basically what this mean is, you're going to a class or a lecture or whatever, then you're doing a presentation about ISAC. So it's not a stall, it's like you're doing like a class shout. You're going, and let's say the process or the flow, like the current thing is you need to introduce what you do. And like yes, as mentioned here, don't start about the vision of the organization. Those things are not needed at that point. And yes, humor and practical example can be used to connect and capture attention. So the basic idea of the introduction and the first part is to capture their attention, because when you're going to lecture or whatever, the people must be sleeping or whatever, so you need to take them up and get your attention. So the first part would be drawing their attention. use storytelling and specific questions. You can ask questions, because when you say you ask questions, everyone is almost at the 100% level attention. Second part is building the awareness for ISEC. You need to awareness building. You can say the numbers, our history, and the partners we have uh, in ISEC. So you can focus on those things as the second part. And as the final part, the clear call to action. So you must be doing this for to get sign up, or it can be you are doing this for let's say motivate the people to go for an event. So whatever, you should have the clear call to action. So that telling about that would be the final part. So yeah, as mentioned here, class shouts are good for getting people to enter the funnel and then nurture them from there. So getting into the funnel means they like coming to the start level, first level of the funnel. Then by nurturing, we means like we are helping them to go through the funnel. So this is a good opportunity to get people enter into our funnel. So yes, those are the four parts of when you are doing a presentation. Like if you stick to these, it will not be boring for them as well, and would be more efficient for you as well, the persons who are doing it. Yes, so moving on, yes, few things to keep in mind. Make sure you have the brand aligned PowerPoint, because when you are using a creative slides, beautiful pictures and all, you can get the attention easily. And then have a script, but don't read from it. You can have something to refer, but it would not create a good image if you are completely reading it in front of the class, because then they get the idea, even they don't know what the hell they are said. So have a script, but don't read from it. You can write something that your audience can relate to. So by relating them, you can also get the you can also remind what you should do next as well. So other one, follow up lead within 24 hours. I told this for information stands, and also have a clear call to action. Yes, so moving on, I hope you got an idea about our class shouts as well, because we are also doing this to get signups for our OGV or OGT to send people. Then just the last one I talk about, the last way of touching is the posters. Yes, they are another way to touch on. So few examples that I have taken here. These examples does not follow the ISEC branding. That one of the things that I want to highlight as well. Some of these things are like is not going to blue book, but don't like remove that part. But you can get the idea what is a poster. So what kind of a message that we should give, we are giving, and what are the things that we should highlight. So if you are creating a poster to get more sign up, you must be putting this up in our university notice board or anywhere. So or you have a school where you're targeting, or you can do near the school over there. A notice board would be the more suitable, because the posters are not allowed now to be posters in anywhere, posted in anywhere. So you have to keep those things in mind as well. But this is also one of the good way to attract people. So follow this method as well if you are doing if you are following up on the your lead. So yes, that would be yes. Then some tips if you are following this posters method. Some tips for you. You should have a purpose. Then it should be related to one of your campaigns, and guess the location you're going to have. Like those things you have to decide in first. Then the audience. Depending on the audience, the language and the visuals need to be changed, because let's say a lot of people who speak in English are there. I mean, we are not putting single posters, but we have to take that in consider as well. So like if they, let's say the people in that area do not know English, it's not it's not worth of our time to put a poster there. And the visuals, it should be like create like very attractive, and color. We have when it's come to color, we have some brand let's say regulations as well, and it should be some contrasting colors. And images, very like high quality images it should be to get the idea. In blurred images, they doesn't give that message that we want to say, and the text finally obviously it should be readable and brand aligned as well. We have some text rules as well. So these are the things that you can play with when you're if you're creating a poster as one of your methods to touch on the customer. So yes. So with that, I will end the second. I will come to the last part about DXP marketing. So a little bit of recap. I hope you got an idea about what this is, what OGX marketing is, and about why we are doing market research, and about market insight, the way we are creating a good thing, group market research, and about the physical marketing methods we can follow as well. So about DXP marketing, what we mean by DXP marketing is the promoting the brand through digital platforms. So putting up on Facebook ads is one of the methods of this DXP marketing. So digital marketing is the main thing that I want to highlight here. So we have iSec Sri Lanka Facebook page and Instagram page for this DXP marketing. So we can put paid advertisement as well in these two platforms, or we can put posts in these pages because they are free of charge. It be putting a post from a page, but as well we can pay and put advertisement as well. If you are using Facebook, you must have seen when you are using watching a video, advertisement come up in the middle. So things like that. So this is the basic flow of what this is. So we create content and we can do a YouTube as well. YouTube is also one of our platforms. We can put advertisements. Then getting back to the flow, we create LC, let's say CC, Colombo Central create content, and we are giving them to MC. And MC, they select the best one. They have some filters as well. So if our posts get through those, they publish them in one of these two platforms. But even though they select or not, they are considering that for our awards. And then it would be the call to action for those posts will be the link to IOP. The outgoing people must know what is the IOP. So what we want, the basic what the call to action was, the message would be message going to be in this post is to direct the people to IOP. So this link to IOP will be different from entity to entity. So the link that they are going to post under our contents is different from the Jayawardhanapura local committee link. So from that we can count how many people went through this link, because one link is related, one link is for one entity, so we can count how many people went through this link. So the number of people went through the link will be counted as as well as the number of people who signed up. We can count these both. So this is the flow, basic idea. I want you to have just the basic idea, because there's another session as well. Artika and Punsara will be doing that. They will be getting into further details about this. I just wanted to give you an idea. Then who's paying for that? So if the post contains just a general message, they are just we are just marketing the product only, GV or GT, GV or GT, yes, then the payment will be done by the MC for the advertisement. If the advertisement is we are customizing it, then we have the relevant LC has to pay, because if you want to run the ad, let's say we can request the MC to run the ad in, let's say, university premises, our Colombo University premises, and target the edge area between 19 to 25. So which means we have now customized the ad. So it's not the general one. Now we have customized it. So the people in university, Colombo University, and also the people in that age, they get this advertisement on their Facebook. When they are going through newsfeed, they are getting this ad. And if a person goes and signed up through that link, then we are getting charged for that sign up. So yeah, if we are custom, like basically if we are customizing the advertisement, if we are saying uh, publish this advertisement on university premises only, then we have to pay, the LC has to pay. If not, the the MC is the one who will be paying for these advertisement. So just a basic idea. And then now we have post the link, people have go on and sign up with this link. Now we have to analyze. So normally we are putting ads in groups, like 4 or 5 groups. Then after some time period, we analyze these ads, and we are uh, seeing which are the effective ones and which are the like ineffective ones. Because the, let's say, the most creative advertisement is the one who will be able to grab most of the people. So if one of the advertisement is failing to attract people, so we should not let it get run through another week, let's say, because we have to then pay for that other week as well. So we don't want to spend money on the ineffective ads. So that's why we are doing this analysis to identify what are the most effective advertisement. So we are removing the ineffective ones. Then we are again continuing the effective ones for the next time period as well. So when continue for the next week, we are removing the ineffective ones, and only the effective ones, the attractive ones, are only running for the next week. So just that's why we are doing this analysis to reduce our cost. So we can use Google Analytics, or Facebook also have an inbuilt ad management software. We can use that as well to get these idea to they separate these ineffective and effective ads. Then little bit of details as well. As I told earlier, the successfulness of an advertisement depend on the attractiveness of that. If it's not attractive, like we think it's not successful, so we are not paying for it for another week to get published. Then ads can get published through a campaign as well. Because you must have seen this with Isaac post now going in Isaac Sri Lanka pages. This little stand is there with Isaac in their advertisement. Earlier one was the live the experience. So these are campaigns that had been run. So we can publish that through these campaign as well. Then the KPI for ad would be the number of people who use the link to sign up. Then so as I told earlier about the posters, we can we get the link and we can convert it to QR code and put it in the poster. So the post itself have a QR code where it can like easily direct to the YOP. So if a person gets signed up from that, it will be counted as a one, it will be counted for one of the DXP marketing number. So QR code is also there. That's what I want to highlight. And we are not be able to get the details of the people who signed up. So we are not getting much of a detail of them. We are only getting the number. Like we only have, let's say, 100 people went through this link, 20 people went through this. That's all. I think we are not getting a lot of details. We have to follow on up after that. After they sign up, we have to follow on them. So yes, I think yeah. Then we have come to our end. So I hope you got an idea about the things that I discussed today. Yes, about OGX, what's market research, how to do a good efficient physical marketing, and those tips that I highlighted, and as well as the last part, the DXP marketing session. So if you have any questions, you can the message. If you have any questions, I'll give you a few minutes for that as well. But you can contact me after as well. So if you're having a question related to DXP, the main like specified people in the EB would be Artika and Punsara. So they are the one who is specialized in this. So you can contact them. They are doing another in detail session as well. So now it will be easy for you to get an idea in that, because you have the basic knowledge in here as well.